another episode of the Cozy Cottage Crochet Podcast. My name is Hannah, and this is a podcast all about crochet, a little bit of knitting, sometimes sewing, and generally living the yarniest life possible in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I live. How are you? Happy almost leap day. It is February 25th while I am recording right now, which is my dad's birthday, and I didn't sing happy birthday to him on the phone because he always interrupts me. I literally just got off the phone with him, and so I'm going to sing it to him now, because I know my mom watches, and sometimes my dad does, and he's definitely gonna have to watch me sing him happy birthday on national television. Although this isn't national television, it's more like worldwide YouTubes. Same thing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dad. Happy birthday to you and many more. You're welcome. If your ears are bleeding, not sorry at all. So it's my dad's birthday. I'm not gonna tell you how old he is, cause privacy, right? Anyways, my name is Hannah. If you're new around here, thank you very much for stopping by to spend a little bit of crafty time with me. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you very much for coming back. We have lots to talk about. It is, as I said, the 25th of February, which means the day that only happens once every 4 years, which actually is my mother-in-law's birthday, is on Saturday, which means March 1st, Sunday, is our official grand opening launch of Different Church. I'm freaking out. No, really, I'm freaking out. And the pollen is insane. So if I start sneezing violently in the middle of this episode, I apologize. Shall we jump in instead of me just rambling for who knows how long before we even get started? So if you're looking for me anywhere on the interweb, you can find me as the Cozy Cottage Crochet on Instagram, on Facebook. I am the Cozy Cottage on Ravelry. We do have a Ravelry group for this podcast. It is linked directly down below. It's the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast group. Very original. If you have anything to say about the podcast specifically, questions, comments, concerns, inquiries, you just want to say hi, please shoot me an email. That is the best way to get a hold of me. My email address is thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. So, we currently have some make-alongs running in the Ravelry group. Number 1, we have the Wizarding Mal 2020. The Wizarding Mal is a sock and sewing make-along for the entire year of 2020. We are still in February, where the prompt is always, which of course is a Harry Potter reference. You do not have to be Harry Potter related. Your project does not have to be Harry Potter related to participate. It can be related to any kind of wizarding or magic. If you can make it fit, you can enter your prize. This is a make-along that is hosted by myself and Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast. And she is hosting the chatter thread, and I am hosting the finished objects thread. So we will be drawing some prizes at the end of March for the first quarter. So definitely enter that. I am still working on my January socks, and I shouldn't even call them socks. I should call it January sock, because not even one sock is done. And the second make-along is called the Year of Classics 2020. That is a make-along dedicated to making garments or very large accessories that actually fit in your wardrobe and that you will actually wear instead of things that just hang out in your closet and you won't wear them. So that is going on. That also is kind of an informal make-along for the entire year. There's a chatter thread in the Ravelry group down below. And the final one is the Mission Impossible Mal, which is to make something that really challenges you. It can be anything. It can be knitting, sewing, crochet, spinning, weaving, dyeing, it doesn't matter. It just has to really challenge you. We have somebody doing like tiny, tiny little itty bitty embroidery flowers or crochet flowers. They're amazing. They're like so small. So definitely some amazing projects going on in there. And there will be prizes drawn from that once a quarter as well. Also, if you heard that, that was my husband's computer. There's probably going to be all kinds of background noise. In fact, we probably just heard some because I'm at home and I was home alone, but my husband just got home from wherever he was. And eventually in probably less than an hour. The baby, the 1-year-old, I should say, that lives with us, and her mother and my brother, they're a family. They live with us. You know this. You've heard the baby's contributions on my podcast before. They will be home, and actually they are moving out. They found a place to rent. They signed a lease, so in a couple of weeks they will be moving out, which I will miss them. I will miss that baby, but also it will be nice to not have to wear pants all the time. Just saying. So let's just jump right in. What am I wearing? I just got home from work, literally like 5 minutes before I started recording this. So still in my work clothes, still in my work pants, and I am wearing a pattern of my own design. This is the Key Largo lace wrap. And as you can see, it's lace with this little itty bitty flower design. And I'm wearing it like a scarf today, but I often wear it as a wrap as well. And you can wear it, you can make it in any length or any width. There's modification instructions in the pattern. So you could make a wrap that was like this wide if you wanted to, or you could make one that was just like a little cowl and was not this long, because this one is very long. That's why I'm looping it about. So that is what I am wearing. If you don't know, I am a crochet designer, because I will be talking about all kinds of crochet designs today. So many crochet designs and my plans for the future. And I don't know exactly why I have so much energy right now. I feel a little like, whoa. I have not been like that all day. All day I've kind of had a headache. I took some ibuprofen. I ate a snack on my way home because I was like, I'm gonna record. I'm not gonna have time to eat dinner before I record. What am I gonna do? So I ate some banana chips. Delightful. Anyways, I said I wasn't gonna keep rambling, and I'm clearly still rambling, and it's been almost 7 minutes. Let's talk about some yarn. First of all, I do have a finished object, and I'm just going to give you an update because there were quite a few comments on my last one where I was telling a tale of woe of this hat. This is the November Sky beanie. It is a crochet hat pattern with this textured design, and this is what the decreases look like. And it comes in 4 sizes: child, teen, small adult, and large adult. And it is made in DK weight yarn, and it's graded in multiple versions of slouch. So there's a fitted version, a small slouchy version, and like a really long slouchy version for those people in your life who love slouchy hats. And I was complaining at length last time about how the math for this is different for each size because there's different amounts of rows, and what am I gonna do? And so thank you to everyone who commented. I did not make it clear that I do understand that I needed to take out repeats. It's just a matter of different amounts of repeats for each size have to be taken out. But I did actually figure it out, I think. And this pattern has been sent to testers. 3 of my testers have actually already completed their hats, and there were no major issues. There was one mistake on a decrease round that I had to fix because the stitches just did not add up at all. But so far, no major issues with the pattern, which is truly delightful to me, simply because I was really worried about how writing this up would go, because I found it a very difficult pattern to write up and wrap my mind around. So currently with testers, and they will get it back to me. The deadline is 2 weeks from now. I gave them 3 weeks because I like to be generous. And then after that, it will be tech edited. And then after that, it shall be released into the wild. Now, this pattern has been 1.5 years in the making. I'm literally so excited I can't stand it. So what I am promising, provided I can get all my ducks in a row, is that this pattern will be released by the end of March. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! Yes, it's happening. It's happening. I'm so excited. So that's just a quick update for all of you November Sky beanie fans. I've gotten several messages being like, I need it. And I'm like, I know, I need it too. I need it to stop ruining my life with its math. Anyways, the finished object that I have was only maybe like 75% done last time. Living in this really adorable little bag that was it's handmade and was a gift from Angela, who is one half of Attic Spin Dye, Andy and Angela. And of course I have my rainbow Spot the Zebra pin on it. That is a zebra that they use to raise awareness for EDS, which is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a connective tissue disorder. And living in here is this amazing, sparkly, fingering weight yarn. Fingering weight yarn is definitely my favorite weight of yarn. Definitely. What's your favorite weight of yarn? Comment below. Let me know. I know a lot of you are very much like worsted fans. Are you a fingering weight fan? This is Alexandra, The Art of Yarn, in the base Agate Beach, which of course is sparkly, in the colorway Chelsea. You get, let's see, it's 93% superwash merino, 7% lurex, which is that amazing sparkle you are seeing on camera. And this was the Pride colorway at Stephen B's yarn shop in Minnesota. And this skein of yarn was a lovely gift from one of my patrons, whose name is Emmy, and she is, first of all, a fabulous person. I'm not just saying that because she sent me a skein of yarn. She truly is delightful and has been such a supporter of this podcast. And she sent this yarn to me, and it meant so much because it was the Pride colorway, and Different Church is a completely inclusive and affirming church of all people, specifically the LGBT plus community. So it really meant a lot to me when she sent it. So I wanted to make a cowl, one skein that I could make and wear on one of our first Sundays at the church, and I have finished it. Eee! I'm so excited. It's still a little damp because I soaked it last night and laid it flat to dry. I didn't like pin it aggressively or anything. It grew a little bit, but oh my gosh, I love it so much. From back here, it just looks like a normal cowl, right? And I'll show you what the back looks like. Kind of has this swoopiness to it. But if I get it close, you can see that there are little hearts in the border all the way around. And these hearts are made using front and back post crochets. And then on the edge, we have this border. And of course, on this edge, we have a border. And I'm going to put it on so you can see how fabulous it is. Even though it is still damp. I literally could not be happier. It's everything I wanted it to be. I know last time I talked about flipping the hearts, but I just wasn't quite happy. I've tried several different things to flip the hearts, and I just wasn't quite happy with how they were turning out. I thought that they were much more defined this way. As you can see, much more defined little hearts, especially that one. So it's very subtle, and I wanted it to be subtle. Now, if you were to do this on a solid colored yarn instead of a variegated yarn, the hearts would stand out way more. But this is what it looks like. It comes like to my mid bust, and it's like a little bit slouchy in the back. I honestly just think it's the perfect size. It's got some space here, but it definitely is not choking me. And I hate things that are really close up to my neck, especially wool. Like, first of all, it bothers me a little bit because it's itchy. You hear all this noise. This is the story of my life. This is how you know that I'm a real person who's just recording on an iPhone in her living room because my husband keeps going in and out because he's doing woodworking. Anyways, so distracted today. I just am thrilled with it. Quite frankly, I love the colors. I love the sparkle. I loved working with this yarn. Every stitch of it was a pleasure to work with, and it held up to massive frogging because I frogged like part of this multiple times when trying to get it right. I love the way the border looks. It just gives it that neat finished edge. I love that the hearts are here, and you know they're here if you made it or if you make it, but that they're subtle enough to not be super in your face. I love that if you made it I just love everything about it. And I'm gonna wear it frequently because this is something that it's bright, it's cheery. So it's definitely something like for the year of the classics. It's definitely something that would fit there because it fits my personality, but also it's really meaningful to me, and I'm going to wear it on Sundays as long as it matches my outfit while we try to create a safe space for everybody to explore their faith. So, Emmy, so excited. I'm definitely going to send you, it's going to be a pattern. I have the pattern pretty much written up. The only issue is the hearts. I need to kind of do a little photo tutorial for, because if you don't know what you're doing, I feel like they can be complicated, and I don't want this to only be a pattern that intermediate to advanced level crocheters can access. I don't know why I'm like on the crochet cabling bandwagon at the moment, but everybody seemed to like the tutorial that I put together for my November Sky beanie, those front and back post stitches. So I think that I will have to do the same thing for this. And I'm going to put this out there. It's happening when this pattern is released. A portion of the proceeds will be donated to a different church. So more on that. It will be a while still. And you know, if you've been around for a while on this podcast, that designing a pattern really does take a length of time, probably more time than most people are aware of, especially on some of the bigger name designers. They tell you right when the pattern is about to be released, or they tell you like when it's released, like, oh, I've been working on this thing, here you go. So it seems instantaneous, but a pattern can take months and months and months to write up, to put into practice. And in the case of my November Sky beanie, that pattern took 1.5 years. By the time I'm done, it'll be like 1 3/4 years. So I'm just thrilled. It's everything that I wanted it to be and more. And I am delighted. And I'm gonna take it off. I even really like how the back came out. You might think there's something wrong with it because it's doing that, but I wanted it that way specifically. And I love that it came out. It like creates a little less bulk on the back of my neck. And I'm always leaning my head against stuff, so I hate having like giant bulk back there. So I'm gonna lay this down over here because it's not quite dry and it needs to finish drying. And now you can see how long the Key Largo lace wrap is. And if you don't know, the Key Largo lace wrap was one of the very first patterns that I ever released. It is in my Florida Shawls collection. So the first pattern I released was the Treasure Island shawl, which is a beach 5 miles from my house. It's my husband and I's pretty much favorite place to go. And Key Largo is one of the keys in the Florida Keys, and it's actually where my husband and I got engaged a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away. And by that I mean we've been married for 8.5 years now. So almost a decade ago. I'm getting old. Okay. That's my only finished object. But don't worry, I have to choke apparently. I got so excited that I breathed what into my lungs, not air. So in no particular order, I'm going to start with one that you saw last week. And this is a pattern that I've been dying to start. I finally started it. And you saw just the bottom ribbing that wasn't quite done. It is the Angela Cardigan by Vicki Chan. I know that that black and white picture is not like the most easiest thing to see, but hey, all I have is a black and white printer. I am using a 3.5 millimeter clover hook. All of my hooks are clover. You can see that this one has had some stain happening. That's actually not from my thumb. I don't have dirty hands while I crochet. Part of that is blue stain from my Angela, no, this is the Angela. The Ariana cardigan that I made. The blue yarn had some dye rub off, and part of this is black yarn that I will talk about in a little bit. So my hook is in here. I have made some progress, and you can tell how much progress I've made because my ball of wool-like is flat. And it was not flat last time. So I'm using Loops and Threads wool-like. This is the colorway Teal Lake. It is a light fingering. You get 85% acrylic, 15% nylon, and you get 678 yards. So it's a light fingering. I have used wool-like to make many things. The only thing I will say is I know for sure this is gonna pill because wool-like fuzzes up like nobody's business, but hey, it's cheap. Look at how much I have done. So I'm gonna see if I can fit this all in the frame. I finished the ribbing and I have started, it's worked from the bottom up. I've started working on the mesh. It looks more solid when you have it here, but when I get close, you can see that it's actually a mesh pattern. And when it's blocked, it's gonna be more like that, which will be perfect for Florida. This is a make for the Year of Classics because this was going to match everything in my wardrobe. I love blue and I love drapey cardigans. And it's just delightful. The ribbing, where is this thread coming from? I'll do it this way. The ribbing was a pain because it's all third loop. And these are all chains. I find that one row takes me like 20 minutes. So actually I've done quite a lot considering. So I've been working on that, maybe like one row a day. It'll grow slowly, especially because with my gauge being so far off, I have way more stitches per inch than she does in the pattern. So I'm making the 3x stitch count to meet the medium large measurements. As you can see, I just love it. I love the texture. I think it's gorgeous. And I love wool-like. So that is happening. That has taken up quite a bit of my crochet time. I'll put the pattern back in so I don't lose it. The next thing, oh, a pair of socks. And by pair, I mean just a sock. How long will this sock take to be done? I literally have no idea. It's bigger than it was before, but only by like this much. And I am ready to start the toe decreases, which means I have to join this gray. I'll do it this way so you can see. And I haven't done it. I worked on this. I went to a meeting and I probably got 2 inches done. It was like a evening meeting, like a educational style thing. So I knitted on this sock the whole time. This is Hobie yarn Antarctica in the colorway Polar, I believe. And then this is Hobie yarn Happy Feet in their just like, it's probably called gray. I don't know. They sent me 6 balls of yarn last year to try out their sock yarn. And so far I have not been disappointed by any of them. And I really like this. It's my sock friend forever. I can't believe after making 19 pairs of socks in 2019 that it is the end of February and I'm not even done with 1 sock. That's crazy, you guys. Next, living in this giant bag. This is a sweater bag that I got from the lovely Faye of the Crochet Circle podcast. And she used to have a company called Knit It, Hook It, Craft It, but now it's called Providence Craft Co. This is waxed canvas, and this is Harris Tweed. I love it. And you will know what is living in here. It was such a tale of woe last time. Oh my gosh, such a tale of woe. But don't worry, I have resigned myself to what needed to be done. This is the soft gray cardigan. Patterned by Cat Golden. It is a Tunisian crochet cardigan. It is quite delightful, except that the pattern is truly the worst. And last time I tried it on for everyone, did a little show and tell, complained extensively about the underarms not fitting, and resigned myself to having to frog it, which I finally did. And I pulled out, this is 1 whole skein of yarn, I believe. So I have this. Ooh, actually. So many strings. I frogged this. This is like 1.5 skeins. And this is the skein that has not been touched yet. I have 1 skein left over, which I'm definitely probably going to use every single scrap of yarn that I have for this project. And I pulled out, let's see if I can do this. I had everything done, all the decreases and 2 rows of the border. So I pulled it back to here. So this went all the way up to the top, and I still have quite an amount of decreasing to go. I pulled it all the way out and added an extra inch, which is an extra 6 rows, so that the underarms will fit. So you can actually pretty clearly tell that this part has been blocked and this part has not, because this is really stiff and this is really soft. So you can see all of this was added, and then I worked this many decreases. And I just realized now that I'm talking to you that I have not been keeping track of my decreases. I've just been doing every other row, which is fine, except I'm gonna have to count and see. That's definitely not gonna work. I was gonna try it on, but there's no shoulders. I'm gonna have to get to the amount of decreases. So you can see it's going to come all the way up to here. There's quite a bit of decreasing left to go. And I have to get to a certain number before I can, look at all these ends. Look at them. I'm gonna pull them inside the sleeve when I take it off before I can start the border again. And you're supposed to have 8 rows of a collar. I don't know that I'm going to have 8 rows, but I might be able to, I'm not sure. As you can see, this yarn is spaghetti because it was frogged. So it has been a little bit of a challenge to work with, but I wasn't gonna soak the yarn again because I just can't be bothered. So there it is. The soft gray cardigan, bane of my existence. It will be finished because it's gorgeous. And I'm not giving up on it, despite the multiple times that I have wanted to. This is just a string that's not attached to anything. Good grief. Despite the times that I have wanted to chuck the whole thing in the bin, I'm not going to. This is a 2-year whip, and it is going to be finished this year. Mark my words. I have started another cardigan. Oh my gosh. It's living in a Halloween bag that I got from Elizabeth, who is Crochet Cakes. And this is actually the other Vicky Chan pattern that I wanted to make. And let me see. It is the Chelsea cardigan, which has a pineapple lace motif on the back. I'm really into like drapey lace cardigans, obviously. I am making 2 of them. So that's the pattern. The yarn that I am using is Knit Picks Hawthorne Fingering in their speckle, and this is graffiti speckle. It's not a color that they make anymore. This yarn was gifted to me, 3 skeins of it, from Ella, who has the No Catchy Name podcast and is also just the sweetest person in the world. So she sent me these because she doesn't like working with fingering weight yarn. So I saved them to make a sweater, and I managed to pick up another skein on a D-stash so that I have 4, because I do think I'm going to want to make this cardigan longer. I have very little to show you. So this cardigan, you start in the back and you do this giant motif, and then you start breaking off and going around. How it works, I don't know, because I haven't gotten to that point yet, but you can see this is what crochet lace looks like. This is what it's going to look like when it's blocked. Which is why you must block your crochet lace. In fact, you should block everything, but especially your lace projects. It actually was 1 row further than this, but I frogged it because I messed it up. This is a pattern that you have to pay attention to, at least for the motif part. And it's just beautiful. It's like definitely a very neutral type of cardigan, because it's gonna be this cream color, which I don't normally wear, but I feel like with a darker color underneath, it'll be perfect. And with these little pops of yellow and black and pink, it'll go with a lot of stuff in my wardrobe. And of course I have a little stitch marker holding my loop. So I'm excited, but I definitely have to pay attention, and I just have not had time. The last week, 2 weeks has been full on crazy. I know I say that every time, but we're trying to get everything done for the grand opening, which is this Sunday. So in 1, 2, 3, 4 days. I am not prepared. Will I ever be prepared? Probably not. But I have started that cardigan, and maybe, just maybe, I will work on it a little bit tonight. I don't know. I have so much work to do. I have to finish my sermon for Sunday. I don't even want to think about the amount of things I have to do. Anyways, that's not all I have to show you. I have some swatches to show you for future designs. So I joined in. If you have been on Instagram, perhaps you know this person, especially if you are a knitter. It is Francois Denoy, or Frenchie, otherwise known as Aroha Knits on Instagram. She has Aroha Knits on Ravelry and her website, etc., etc. And she does these design challenges every once in a while. So she had the Initiate Knit Design Challenge. I don't want to really design anything knitted, but I joined in because I wanted to see what her process was. And so part of it was we make a swatch. And I really, really love her process. So this is a swatch. This is a honeycomb stitch. And then these are just extended half double crochets. So I made a swatch, and This yarn is Knit Picks Palette. This color is Mongoose, and this color is Masala. So these definitely are not my normal colors. I like much brighter or deeper colors, but these were a gift from Kalisha, who has the Quirky Monday Craft Cast, because I was wondering if this yarn would be possible for me to wear or if it's too itchy. I still don't know the answer to that question. I'm just swatching at the moment. And I'm keeping it in. Oh, I just hit myself in the eyeball. Ow. I have been keeping my notes for this swatch in this notebook that also came from Kalisha. So I swatched. I really like how the texture came out. I don't know. I have an idea for a cowl design. I'm not sure. I have to work part of it out because the shape is not computing in my head. So I would use a different yarn, I think, to make the actual thing. But something interesting I noticed is I washed this baby last night. And afterwards, I threw this in. And it made the most awful smell. It still smells, although not quite as bad. And it smelled like, especially when I took it out of the water, I don't know what happened to this yarn when Knit Picks was making it, but it smells like, not gasoline, but definitely something similar, like gasoline or formaldehyde or like something really like petroleum-based, like chemical smell that was overpowering, like shockingly it smelled. So if you've used Knit Picks palette, has this ever happened to you? Do you know anything about the smell coming off this yarn? Because it's been drying all day and now it doesn't smell except very faintly. But when I pulled it out of the water, it was like, I was like assaulted with the smell. But it's a lot softer than when I first soaked it. And I love the texture. So this texture will definitely be used for something. What? I'm not too sure. We will find out. So that's a swatch. That was a couple of days work. And then the final project that I have to show you is a swatch, but will become something very exciting. And it kind of has a long story. So I have one thing of Happy Mail to show you, and it is something that I ordered. I have to pull it out because it's all wrapped in plastic. I apologize for how loud this is. And what I have, a cone of yarn. This yarn is Holst Garn. Holst Super Soft. Their Super Soft is kind of a light fingering because you get 314 yards per 50 grams. So that's 630 yards for 100 grams. And this is the colorway Graphite. As you can see, it's kind of like a heathery black. This is 500 grams. And then I have 4 of these. So I have 700 grams of this yarn. I actually only meant to order 600 grams of the yarn, but this yarn is very inexpensive, cheaper than any 100% wool yarn that I could get in the States, I think. And the shipping from, where is this coming from? The Netherlands, Sweden, somewhere like that. This yarn costs like $10 to ship to the US. So including shipping, I think I paid a little over $40 for 700 grams of 100% wool yarn. That is, I have been hemming and hawing about buying this for a long time because I have an idea for a pattern. And I wanted it to be out of wool, but all the wool is expensive. So I've heard a lot of people talk about Holst Garn and Holst Super Soft specifically, about it's the yarn they couldn't live without, except that it does have a lot of spinning oil on it, so you have to make sure you have to wash it. Don't let it fool you. It's not super soft. This is 100% wool. It's softer than softer than what? I don't know. I don't use a lot of rustic wool. It's softer than some wool for sure, but it is nowhere near a merino. Okay, so if you are sensitive to wool, as I am sometimes, this is not the wool for you. But when I went on to order it, I was estimating it was going to be about 50 bucks for 600 to 700 grams, and they were having a sale. So I ordered it, and I spent like $40, and I got 500 grams and 200 grams of yarn. And the reason is because I'm going to make a cardigan. I know I am going to design a cardigan, and I'm very excited about it. So I did a swatch, and this is the swatch. It's a giant swatch, way larger than I would normally do. But because it's lace, I wanted to be able to take some accurate measurements. What I will say is that the people who are like, you have to wash it and it's going to fluff up and change texture, were absolutely right. But I feel like they undersold it. Like all of the people have been like, oh yeah, after you wash it, it's great. And there's some spinning oil on it. So you have to make sure you wash that off. When I was working with this yarn, it literally was like, you could see through every stitch. It was like working with a piece of thread almost. And it turned my finger black. In fact, I still think I have a little bit of dye on my finger. This finger was black, this right here where I was touching the yarn, and then my thumb. So these three were completely black from the dye that was coming off. And so I powered through, I finished the entire swatch. And then when my cowl was out of the water, I put this in last, and I just kind of swirled it around, and the water turned black. It was not just spinning oil that was coming off, it was copious amounts of dye that was stuck to the spinning oil. And I let it soak for a while. You have to be careful because I didn't want it to felt, but I kind of like squished the soap and the water through it for a little while. Then I let it soak, and then I just squeezed it out under running water several times until the water ran clear. And then I laid it flat to dry. Was completely dry this morning. That's the thing about 100% wool, is it dries super fast. And it has fluffed up so much. I would say those stitches are twice the size they were originally. Like here, when we have this bottom ribbing part, like you could literally see giant holes. And now from far away, like you can barely see anything. And then of course, this. So is it comfortable enough to wear it close to the skin? I find it itchy personally, but I have an idea. I'm thinking with the shape of the cardigan that I have in mind, it's not going to be like super close to your neck, so it'll just be on the back and then come down like this. So I'm hoping that that won't bother me so much. And if it does bother me, there will be a more solid piece coming right here. So I'm thinking about maybe just lining it with a little bit of knit fabric or a little bit of silk. Silk always pairs super well with wool, just on the edge to keep it from bothering me. So I'm going to design an entire cardigan, a lace cardigan with Holst Super Soft. I'm very excited, but I'm not going to start working on mine until I've done all the math. I want to have the pattern written up, and I want to have it graded before I start working on my sample. Because this is such a big undertaking, I do not want to make a pattern, I can't just make another one, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like I can make with my November Sky beanie hat. I can't just make another one to see if my pattern works. So, I don't know. It's interesting to think about. I'm going to try and make that my goal for March, is to work on that pattern a little bit every day. And hopefully by the end of March, it will be in some semblance of recognizable state. And then I can, once I have my measurements, I can start working on the grading and how much positive ease I want, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I will be making it for several months probably to test that out. And then I will also be sending it out to test netters, test crocheters eventually. And they will have probably 3 months to make theirs. And then it will get tech edited. So this cardigan is not going to come out anytime soon. I don't want you to like please don't comment and be like, I need it now. It's not going to be ready now. It's just impossible. That's how long things take. And especially with everything going on in my life right now, I don't know how much time I will have to dedicate to it, but I do want to make it a goal for March and for April to work on it maybe 3 nights out of 7 for half an hour. And I think that that will really make a big difference on getting the pattern written up. So, with that being said, I have some news. It's not like crazy news, but as you all know, if you're around here, I design crochet patterns. I think I've released, 13, 14, something like that, since I started 2 years ago. But I find that my process is very disorganized. And I'm sure you know this if you've been around for any length of time, is I get an idea in my head and I have a really hard time translating it into yarn. And by the time I do, sometimes I have abandoned or forgotten original ideas, and then the pattern takes me a long time to write up because I don't really have a set plan. I generally start with the yarn and start to make something instead of starting with an idea and a story and a pattern, which makes the patterns take longer to release and stresses me out more for sure, because I feel like I have to do, when I go back to write up the pattern, it's like playing catch up almost. Like I have to remember what I did, and I don't swatch usually. So it's not like a super clean, efficient way to do it. It has been working for me, but I would like it to work better. So one of the things that I am doing this year is I signed up for Frenchie, Aroha Knits, her Swatch Studio class, which only opens occasionally. I've been thinking about doing it for 1.5 years now. It takes me a long time to build up to something. And it's basically a course on how to streamline your design process. And I just want to say a huge thank you publicly to all of my patrons. I have a Patreon, if you don't know, and I give a weekly love letter on Sundays, sometimes text, sometimes video, where I just chat, and I do vlogs and some other stuff there as well. And I am so grateful, and I talked about this at length in my letter to my patrons on Sunday, but it really is so meaningful to me to be able to take this course, because this is something I'm really passionate about. And with my life arrangements at the moment, there's no way that I could participate in this course without their support. And it really means the world to me that you have invested in me as a person and in me as a designer. And I know I don't have to tell you what I'm doing with your support, but I want you to know that I think this is something that's going to change my life. I would like it to change my life. I would love to be able to design more efficiently, and also design in such a way that it could potentially support my family and I partially. So if you don't know, my day job currently is I'm a legal assistant, which I do Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. It is stressful, to say the least. It's definitely pretty stressful, and it doesn't pay a lot. It pays just enough to cover the bills. And that's my day job. And my night job is also full-time pretty much, but doesn't pay me anything. And that is as a pastor of this church we're starting. So I think it potentially could be life-changing for me to have another stream of income that I am passionate about, that isn't just marking time, if that makes sense. So without getting emotional, because I already did that on Sunday, I just want to say thank you to every single person who has supported me, whether you were a patron for a few months, whether you are still a patron. It really is meaningful and special to me that you have chosen to invest in me as a person. And I hope that I will be able to give it right back by releasing even better crochet designs and releasing more consistent designs and doing things that I never thought I would be able to do, like designing a cardigan. Ooh, I I mean, I'm pretty sure I said I could never do that a couple of years ago. And now I feel like maybe I do have the tools and the skills to do that. So it's a little terrifying, not gonna lie, but I am willing to put in the work, and I hope that it will have wonderful results. So all of that to say, a huge, massive, universal thank you and virtual internet hug to each of you. Thank you so much for your support and for your investing in me. And for anyone who's just viewing this as a regular viewer of the podcast, this podcast, of course, is going to continue to be free. Right now, it is an ad-free platform. I don't have any YouTube advertisements or anything like that. So if you want to support the podcast, you can do so by purchasing a crochet pattern. I have a coffee account, or you can become a patron for as low as $2 a month, which is like a cup of coffee. And you'll get a weekly love letter from me every Sunday. I just want to turn this into a cardigan, you guys. Eee! So exciting. Life is nuts. Nuts right now. Yesterday was Monday and I worked all day, of course, at my job, and then I got home, I stuffed my face with some food, and then I went out to Starbucks and worked all night until I was writing my sermon for Sunday, which is going to be great and also terrifying. It's our official grand opening. And I think there's going to be like 100 people there, which is a little overwhelming. I think it will be fine. I'm really excited about the topic that we're going to cover. And I'm really excited that it's finally happened. It's finally a thing that's happening in real life. We've had our soft launch practice services this month, and it's just gone really well. No major issues. No, the sound hasn't stopped in the middle of the service. It's just been great all around, and I'm thrilled with it. I'm honored to do it, but it's also very much anxiety inducing. And I have resigned myself to the fact that I'm probably not going to sleep much this week, and I'm definitely not going to sleep on Saturday night. So I'm going to have to get a very large coffee on Sunday. But it's all good. And so many of you have been on this journey with me for a year now, and even before you knew what was happening. And the thank you to you. I just am full of thank yous today because I really wouldn't be here in this place where I am without all of you. This podcast brings me so much joy. It fills my heart to come and talk to you. It fills my tank to crochet. It is a creative outlet for me to design, and to be able to look at something like this and think that not only did I make it, but I created it, the design is mine, but I created it because of you guys and because of the support that I received, and that's what's really meaningful to me. So it is 6:19 now p.m., which means the baby will be home any moment. I've got to get this edited and uploaded. It's Tuesday. Normally I record on a Wednesday, but tomorrow night I'm busy, and Thursday night I'm busy, and Friday night I'm busy, and Saturday night I'll be freaking out. In fact, probably all day Saturday I'll be freaking out. So I guess I'm going to call it right here. I know this is a little bit shorter than my normal podcast episodes, but I got a lot to do this week. But I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'll be back in March, and there will be so many exciting things. I would love to know. Leave me a comment down below. What are you working on? What are you excited about for the future? And also, as I continue in this design journey, what are some designs that you would love to see? What are some things that you like to make the most? If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up. That just helps me know and help YouTube know that I'm creating content that you like and is not terrible. If you want to be kept up to date on future videos as they do appear on this channel, just hit the subscribe button. I record every 2 weeks, and the podcast goes up on Saturday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And don't forget, no matter what happens in the next 2 weeks, no matter what happened today or yesterday, no matter what happens tomorrow, to take a breath and be kind to yourself. And if you wouldn't say it to your best friend or to a person that you love dearly, you are not allowed to say it to yourself, because you are valuable and you deserve to take up space, and you're already worth all the love that you can give yourself. Until I see you next time, Have a wonderful 2 weeks and happy crafting. Bye.